YouTube, we are back. It is officially after the race. Ironman Chattanooga 70.3 has been completed. It's pretty crazy to see from 6 months ago, or I guess it's like 3.5 weeks past the race, but 5.5 months before the race started, couldn't even swim 100 yards. I didn't even have a bike, wasn't in a little running shape, and then signed up for a race. I had no clue what I was doing. And then we completed the dang thing. So we're going to talk about the whole thing, kind of my experience. How was it? What went well? What went bad? All the above. Let's do it. All right, why did I choose Ironman Chattanooga 7.3? I chose that race because, one, the location is very close. I'm like an hour and 20 south of the race. Been to Chattanooga a bunch. Very scenic course of everything. And, I just didn't want to spend a lot of money on travel, even though I did buy an Airbnb, which is fine. Another reason is back when I decided I was going to do an Ironman, it almost seemed like it was the perfect days away from the race. It was about 5.5 months when I looked up Ironman 7.3s, and Chattanooga just so happened to be that time out. So that was another reason. My goal going into the race when I first signed up was obviously just finish. And then that was my first goal. And then my second goal was get below 6 hours and 30 minutes. Didn't really know what to expect. Like I said, new to all this, very beginner. But got to set a goal and then another mini goal, because how I thought of it is any time I got during the race was going to be a PR. So I wasn't trying to hold myself too much to a time. I was just trying to have a good time, experience a new sport, because all I knew beforehand was just baseball. My training before the race was honestly pretty interesting compared to most. Obviously, if you've seen my YouTube videos and you follow me on Instagram, I do videography and social media for companies, people, businesses, you name it, I do it. Basically, I travel on the road a ton, and my whole prep was about 151 days from when I signed up to the actual race day. And I did the math, and I was in between that whole prep. I was on the road 61 days for work, and I was in 16 different cities, which is pretty crazy. I know it's a lot, so you're probably asking, how did you train? Some days were very hard, and obviously biking on the road is very tough because I couldn't bring my bike. I never did. So what I would do mostly is I would hop on the hotel bike and just do a stationary 1 hour to 1 hour 30 ride, which I hate the trainer. It's absolutely, I would rather get outside and go 6 hours than go 2 hours on the trainer. I just love going point to point rather than staying in one spot. But overall, I was very happy with my training for how much I was on the road. I got a ton done. And yeah, it was cool to see my progression from the start to the race day. My biggest concern before the race was probably the swim. Never swam in my life before. Couldn't even swim 100 yards. Played college baseball. I thought I was fit and athletic until I hopped in that pool the first day, and I sunk like a rock. Couldn't even swim down and back. Was huffing and puffing right when I got back to the 50, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to swim 1.4? And you're probably asking, Chattanooga 7.3 is a 1.4 mile swim because it's in the river, and that's the only place they can put you in at. For my race day nutrition, I was using gels. I used the Cis gels, Science and Sport. Shout out Blake, Jakes, if you're watching this, you put me on. Carb mix really didn't sit well with my stomach. Kind of tested that out before. And then I was filming Blake's races and was kind of asking him his rundown, and he put me on with the Cis gels, and he was like, dude, just mix these in your bottle. They're 40 grams a pop. So they're very thin, and they mix with water very easy, and it honestly tastes pretty good, and it sat in my stomach way better. So I did that for the race, and then I had some BPN gels that were more like flavored type, just get something in my mouth. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I just did electrolytes with that. All right, now to the race. Let's go. We are leading up to Ironman Chattanooga. We are a day out. The sleep, probably the earliest I've went to bed in like 5 years. I was in bed by like 8 o'clock. I was absolutely like crashed. I was so tired. I was asleep before like 9 o'clock, and then the good old alarm went off at 4 a.m. and I was like, it's go time. Let's do it. I feel like it all kind of went by fast. Just waking up, driving to the race venue, parking, walking over to the transition, getting everything set up. My nerves before the race, I feel like weren't as nervous as I thought I was going to be. I filmed, that would be my attending 5th Ironman event, but my first time racing. But I filmed 4 Ironman events before that. I filmed 3 halves and a full. So I kind of knew the rundown, you know. Obviously I've never raced, so I didn't know the experience, but I've watched a ton, so I kind of knew the ins and outs. Learned some tips and tricks from other people and hacks, just, you know, talking to them, filming them, watching them. And yeah, I really wasn't nervous at all like I thought I would be. Super calm. It was just, you know, all the training and stuff was done. It was just ready to have a good time and go see what all the training, how it paid off, and if it did. And I will say, training definitely paid off. It's cool to see the body go from 0 to a 70.3. And it's just good for your mindset. Just, you know, setting a goal for yourself that you really don't think is achievable and then actually doing it. Nothing really unexpected happened during the race. I mean, people say stuff does go wrong, like bike mechanic, you know, you forget something, all that. Like, I was very prepared, you know, all my bottles, nutrition, race belt, tracker. I just kind of came prepared, was good, smooth, wasn't rushing anything, gave myself plenty of time to transition, pumped up my tires. And yeah, we were ready to go. Then we hopped on the shuttle and headed to the swim start. So now jumping into the race, like the actual race. Starting off with the swim. The swim is a 1.4 mile down the Chattanooga River. Unfortunately, this year there was no current, so it was a little longer, which is fine. But I think the swim was probably one of my favorite parts. You know, just jumping in the water early in the morning, you know, with thousands of people, and everyone's in the same boat, you know, just swimming to the end. People at the start were like complaining about like, oh, this swim's long this year. Like, it's long every year at Chattanooga. Everyone knows it's 1.4 for the half. And they were complaining how there's no current. Like, it doesn't matter. Everyone is in the same boat. You just hop in the water and get to swimming. Starting off, I really, you know, first 200 yards, I was like, damn, man, we're really like racing a half Ironman right now. And then, like, I would say once my watch buzzed the first 500, I was like, dang, I went by kind of quick. And I was like, really, already 500? And then we really kind of settled into like a rhythm. In Chattanooga, there's an island, and then once you get on your right, and then once you get kind of past that, it's out of your vision. You're about halfway, and then there's 3 bridges, and then you're basically there. That's the whole sighting course. The water temperature was chilly, but it felt really good on the body. And I would say for a lot of people talk about sighting before the race. My sighting was very good during the race. I did practice it in the open water at a local lake where I live in Ackworth, Georgia. But what I did is I found someone to the right that was swimming the same pace as me, and I breathed to my right. So every time I looked up, if they were still to my right, I was good to go. And I'd look up every once in a while, you know, just gauge it. But there's also buoys, and I kept those to the right. You can swim on both sides, but I kept them to the right just to make sure, you know, staying on course. My in swim time was 40 minutes for 2,550 yards, which is a 1.4 miles in the water. I think it was, don't quote me, but let me look. My swim time was 40 minutes and 30 seconds with an average pace of 141 per meter. Way faster than I expected. I think it's just like, you know, the adrenaline was running and everything was feeling good, so I was really happy with my swim time. Transition one was it was longer than I expected. I didn't think it would be that long. I feel like they could have made like an easier cut to the transition. Just from coming out of the water, running on the concrete, you do go up a huge ass hill, so your heart rate like spikes, and then you have to run down the road, and then you have to like zigzag. I feel like they just should make it like a direct line to it instead. The bike was good, 56 miles to it was Georgia the whole way. You go south, it's a lollipop, so you go down, around, then you come back up. It was good. It was pretty rolling, and I was really, you know, my legs were feeling good, and I was like, damn, I'm going faster than I should be going, but it was good. And yeah, we were hauling, you know, talking to everyone. Good morning, how you doing? Like, getting everyone's names. I did find a couple people to ride with, you know, just talking with them the whole race. And then mile 26, there is a steep ass hill, and when I mean steep, I mean half of the people are walking up it. So you turn this corner, and it's a sharp left, and then it's just 10% grade. But I told myself, I was like, I'm not walking. I was like, we are going to pedal up the whole thing. And I was in the highest gear I could possibly be in, and it felt so hard, but push through it, and then you get a steady downhill from there to get your heart rate back down. And then it's kind of pretty much rolling for the next 10 miles. And then once you make the straightaway back to the race or the venue to finish the bike, it's pretty steady uphill, which low-key sucks, but I mean, it is what it is. You get the downhills on the way out, so on the way back, I knew it was gonna be hilly. The heat was definitely playing a factor. I lost my bottle at mile 2, the railroads. Doing this race in the future, the railroads. You're gonna see 100+ bottles on that railroad. They're not kidding. Slow down. I was still going slow and it still fell. Had 2,000 milligrams of electrolytes in that bottle. So I had to grab electrolytes from the race aid stations, which is every 15 miles on the bike. But no, I was very happy with my bike. I finished my bike in 2 hours and 58 minutes. I was shooting for sub 3 on the bike. Very happy. The last 10 miles were absolutely brutal. And I was telling myself the whole time on the last 10, how the hell am I going to run a half marathon after this? Felt decent coming off the bike. Legs were shattered a bit. I definitely didn't think I was ready to run a half marathon, but you know, got to lace them up and get after it. What really helped is coming out of T2, there was people with these huge 2-liter bottles of water and they could just pour them on you. And that really like cooled me off from the heat, you know, got me going. Coming out of T2, you come down a hill to the swim out, and then you come up this huge ass grass hill, and then you go up to the road, and then you go up another hill. And so your heart rate's pretty spiked coming out of T2, but you know, once I got out of T2 and about a mile in, I was like, okay, you know, the legs are back, feeling good, just got to keep going. And my goal was to hold a sub, like I wanted to hold like around a 9-minute pace, roughly around there. So I wanted to run an 8:40 mile to every aid station, and then I could walk through the aid stations to give myself kind of break, you know, refuel, get rehydrated, you know, throw water on myself to cool me down, anything to like, you know, cool my body down because it was so hot. You literally could not run from that sun out there. It was so exposed. The run course is a 2-lap course. So it's 6 miles, 2 lap. So I feel like that was a good mental thing for me because in my eyes, it was just like, all right, hour, we got it. 6 miles, let's do it. And then, you know, we make it back and it's almost, I thought about it this way, like each aid station was a checkpoint and I was like, okay, I got 12 checkpoints and then I'm done. Well, 13 was obviously the finish. So that was a good mental block for me, like to help me get through, like make it to the next one, make it to the next one. Honestly, helped me a ton and I really recommend it. And my coach Blake, he was like, look, run to the aid stations and walk through them. So I ran a little faster than I wanted to just so I could get that little extra break. The crowd was absolutely electric. The run course is so spectator friendly. Everyone's cheering you on. It's so cool to see like a community, people that don't even actually know you to support you and like yell at you to keep going. So that really helped. And then, you know, finding people on the course to run with. I found this guy. We ran the back 6 together just to like keep pacing each other. I even started cramping up really bad at mile 11 and this lady next to me had salt tabs and she handed me 2 of them and my body like was seizing up so bad from the heat, and like once I took those 2 I was like back to good, like cruising. And then we got to the last aid station. We had about a mile left and I was so hot. You come across the Veterans Bridge, the final stretch. I was low-key in the pain cave, you know, started to slow down a bit, and this guy had like 2 bottles on him and I was like, my man, any way I could get like a drink? He's like, dude, of course. And I was like, what is it? And he's like, ice cold water. And so, you know, got a swig of that, put it down my neck, and that really helped me push through the last mile because my body was feeling it. Coming down the bridge, you make a right and then you come up this hill and then you go down to almost a swim start where the street is, about 500 more yards, and there's the finish line. Seeing the finish line was hella rewarding. I was in so much pain and I was like, oh my God, it's so close. Like we're almost there. That was definitely one of the, like, I'd say the most rewarding things I've ever like been a part of, you know, just like crushing the whole day, then like, you know, achieving a hard goal you never thought was possible from 5.5 months ago. Crossing the finish line, 5:48. I'll get the official times. We have 5:48.56. We placed, I'll actually put this on screen. Placed 81st out of 229 people in my age group, 618th out of 1,823 people, or my gender, sorry. And then we placed 789th out of 2,496 people out of the whole race. Personally, me, I'm very happy with that. Let's say we don't have the extra swim. I think I'm around a 5:40, 5:35. But, you know, this race is a little different. All good. That is pretty much the Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga race recap for me. Cameraman to Ironman 70.3 to, who knows? Maybe we'll see you in the next video. But if you made it this far, appreciate you watching. Cameraman doing some endurance things, documenting the whole process of my life. Yeah, that's pretty much it I got for you guys. Appreciate you watching. Until the next one. See ya.